Thank you for joining me. This is John from Tabletop Narrative, and I just wanted to go over a simple, friendly kill team campaign slash maybe tournament thing that I had ran just with me and my friends. So we have a Facebook group that's called the Battle of Silus Prime. And basically what it is kind of a narrative style group that we could post pictures and games, and as we play stuff we'll tell a story and it kind of advances. So previously to this we played a Necromunda campaign, and in that the chaos had taken over a hive city called the Spire of New Babel. And so now with the chaos kind of taking over, a lot of other outside sources have decided to come to this planet and basically send kill teams in to kind of secure locations and do stuff like that. So I thought this is a great way to introduce new people and to play some games. So we had 5 players, one being a Harlequins. This gentleman has never played Kill Team, but had all of these old Harlequin models. And so he was able to play like right from the get-go. So that is a real positive, I think, with Kill Team, is that low model count. So we had a Deathwatch player, 2. We had a total of 5 players. And here's a Genestealer player. And then the next one's going to be an Eldar player. And then the last one is I played... because I was kind of the odd man out. It would have been best if we had equal numbers to play games, how I was trying to have it set up. So I decided to play just a commander. And what I would do in this scenario is, because I had these missions set up a certain way, is that I would be like the 3rd player on a team, but I would be trying to complete my own mission. And it's basically this army of 1. So whereas each player would be playing one mission, trying to complete that, I myself am trying to complete this mission. And because we were playing for like resources and stuff like that, as far as a campaign kind of goes, it worked out pretty well, actually. So and some of the things to make the campaign, I'll talk more about it as we kind of go through, but one of the things I really wanted to use was these secondary missions from the Nova pack. And I played in a tournament with them, and it was really cool, so I liked them. And I wanted to kind of make them a little simpler and incorporate a campaign, with morale and intelligence and stuff like that. So what I decided is each time a person won a game, they would get a territory. And then I gave each person 3 cards, one that said morale, one that said intelligence, and one that said material. And on the other side was different secondary missions from the Nova pack. And what you would do is you could play one of these per game, and they're a secret. And then when you completed them, you would get a victory point in the game, but also you would get a material or a resource basically for your campaign status. So it actually was pretty cool. I liked the idea of how that played out, and it kept it simple but kind of introduced that secondary missions there. And so I had open missions, and we had competitive. I really wanted to have an open or a narrative mission attached to each table that we had. We had 4 tables, and then I wanted to each person to play a competitive game from the Nova pack, because I think that those are pretty balanced. And so we had 4 tables to do that. And so this was basically one of my tables. It was what I was referring to as kind of a religious sector, like an old ruined kind of spot. And then we had the next table was a PROMETHIUM kind of plant. So it's that it's the Sector Mechanicus terrain on kind of a lava board. And then my other 2 friends had made each a table too. So this was a factory that my friend made. And those glowing orange, those are super cool. They're ping pong balls, I believe, with lights underneath them. So they glow. I think there'll be a picture here too that shows it. So really cool tables. And then this one was kind of more of a trading post and everything. So that we decided. So just kind of some key locations to kind of fight over. And then, so next thing, what we'll do is I'm going to have everybody show the video, them going over their armies, and then we'll go into some of the games. So thank you.
So I have a Dire Avenger Exarch. He has the Dire Sword and the Shimmer Shield. My veteran is a Storm Gunner. He's got a Flamer.
Okay.
I got a Ranger Sniper with the long rifle. I got a Guardian Defender Comm Specialist. And 3 Guardian Defenders and 2 Dire Avengers.
Okay.
And then the
Platform. Star Cannon.
Which I chose the Star Cannon just because that's how it was modeled and Don gave it to me.
Painter's call.
Okay, this is Sergeant Hieronymus.
Yeah, came out pretty good.
Plasma gun,
this that
bolter,
crafter's
and Xenophase
Oh,
blade.
yeah, it's the best.
This is Brother Gabriel.
How's it going, man?
I started
Great minds think
shotgun.
alike, right?
Brother Enso is a black shield that
from
carries
the
the storm
dungeon stuff?
shield.
Yeah. No,
My
that's
heavy
great.
is
I'm a
brother
big, I'm thinking like you should be putting
Jano Silverhelm.
Hey, crafters,
A combi heavy bolter flamer and Black Templar brother Titus.
But yeah, anything you
with
draw,
power
like
sword
I did
and
cobblestones, tentacles. I was gonna do like tentacles.
my
Yeah, you do a
combat
big
specialist, comms,
I was thinking about a big
heavy,
guns.
and leader.
Hold on here.
Veteran,
Okay.
and zealot.
Okay. And then what are you guys armed with? You just have like kind of. I know some have the different weapons and stuff.
Oh, okay. Most of any axe or sword is a Harlequin blade.
Okay.
Kiss,
Okay, like the.
embrace, and I think that's the what's it called? Caress. Okay, so my Genestealer force, the Void Dragons. My leader, Nasser Black. He has the Bone Sword, Lash Whip. Specialist leader. My Aberranth is a combat specialist with a power hammer. He is Roos. This is Zazu Killer. He's a zealot with a rock saw. And then my last specialist is Weaver, Piercing Genestealer with Acid Maw, and I think that's it. And then on to the non-specialist.
What's his specialist?
Veteran.
Veteran.
Yeah. And then the non-specialist, I have a acolyte with a flamer, another rock saw, a neophyte with chainsword and a bolter pistol, snake, and then Piggy with the heavy stubber.
Piggy. And then another Genestealer.
Oh yeah, and then another Genestealer.
Cool deal. So I'm playing champion, and he's an exalted champion, and he has a plasma pistol and a power fist, and then he's level 3, and then he's got ferocity is his specialist thing, and then I took Iron Will, tactical planner, and destined by fate.
Yeah, against the Harlequins, it's our plus.
Okay, so now to get into the games and then get a little bit more into the rules. So one of the things that I did with this is each player would pick one mission that was either like a narrative or a open mission. They're all hidden. And then that person would be the attacker for that particular table. So we had 4 tables, so there was 4 missions. And then for the competitive side, what we would do is like we would pair it up. The last people would pick maybe a table they haven't played on or whatnot, and then they would play that particular mission. And then for my mission, it was always the same. It was that army of 1 that I was trying to accomplish myself. And so there's like 3 different ways where I would roll, and either I'd have to kill a leader or like hold an objective or like run off a table edge. So I was kind of there just to disrupt. And I chose a commander because I didn't want a lot of models. I didn't really want to affect their game too much. So now into the missions, and these are some of the games that we played. So this is round 1. Round 1, this is on the trading post, and this was basically the Harlequins and the Eldar. They played a narrative mission called Ambush, and I wasn't part of this mission, but I think that it went pretty well. And from what I remember, that the Harlequins are trying to charge, and the Eldar were like overwatching a lot and killing stuff. And if I'm not mistaken, one of the like either the Dire Avengers or something overwatch on a 5+ or something brutal. So a lot of shooting versus trying to attack. So the Eldar won that particular one in round 1. And then we go into the other game, which is round 1. And this is the game where I was a part. So it was a 3-player mission. It was the Deathwatch and the Genestealer cult and myself. And so I deployed kind of in the middle a little bit. And then Genestealers and Deathwatch on either side. I believe I had to... I personally had to get, the mission here was search and rescue for them, but I had to secure an objective, I believe, and then I also had to get within a board edge. So it was all on the Deathwatch side. So the Genestealers were running up. I kind of had to be over there too. It was just really a bad day for the Deathwatch. And I think they ended up getting wiped out total. And the Genestealer won this game. And I did complete my 2 main missions. So my secondary, kind of that Nova style secondary mission, and then also my mission that I rolled for there. So and then let's see here, we're gonna go into the next game. And the next game, so we're going to be into round 2. So the attackers then became the defenders. And then, so now we're going to be playing on different tables. So this next table is the PROMETHIUM plant. And what I also tried to do is pick missions that were maybe somewhat themed towards these specific tables. And this one was disrupt supply lines. And this was the Eldar versus the Deathwatch. So once again, I wasn't part of this, but I was kind of listening to what was going on in this, and it seemed as though the Deathwatch were down and out early, but were holding on, and they pulled it out in the end and came up with a win. And I think it had to do a lot with the Deathwatch guy right there with the storm shield, and I think he just went in there and started murdering a bunch of Eldar. So Deathwatch ended up winning that particular game. So for the second round game, it was myself once again, and there was Genestealer, Colt, and Harlequins. And this was played on the factory. And the mission, I believe, was aerial strike for this. And with this particular mission, it was interesting because the Harlequins had to deploy kind of in the center somewhat, and they had objectives there. And then it was very narrative because the attacker would like roll to depending upon what edge it would come in. So it was like Genestealers just coming in, and then I was hiding underneath there. So they were kind of all fighting on the upper parts of it. And my particular mission, I believe I had to get off a board edge. And then my secondary was I had to kill somebody. And so I wasn't really too involved. And surprisingly, the Genestealers were doing all the charging and shooting. And, the Harlequins were having a hard time. So kind of see I got that Genestealer there. And the winner was the Genestealer cult for this one. So now we get into the narrative, the competitive style missions. And so this one was played on the PROMETHIUM plant. And it was Genestealer cult versus the Eldar. So, and I think that they played, let's see what Nova. These were the Nova missions, once again, that we played for the competitive ones. And it was the vital supplies. Yep. So Genestealers ended up taking that one. I don't know too many details or have too many pictures of that, but I'm pretty sure that's secured. And I think Genestealers ended up getting all their secondaries and all that type of stuff. So they scored, I think, almost every point you could. And then for our game in this round 3, it was Deathwatch, Harlequins, and myself. And so it's played on the trading post area, and it's the running battle one. So this is the one with the weird deployment where you deploy on the same side. So I deployed my commander on the opposite side just to kind of stay away. And I think what I had to do is I had to kill an enemy leader, and it had to have been the Harlequin one. And then I also, I believe, that was my secondary, I think. And then I also had to get off a board edge, which was the opposite board edge. And so I was trying to, I don't know, it was kind of hard because they were in a gunfight. The Eldar were trying to charge the Deathwatch, and I didn't want the Deathwatch to kill the Harlequins leader. So I was trying to charge in there to attack him. And I think he had like 2 flesh wounds on him in the end, was making all his 4-up saves. I just could not kill him. And then he ended up killing me in the last round. But and then the Deathwatch and the Harlequins ended up tying that game. So they just couldn't score any more points. So that pretty much said it. So that means that the Genestealer cult won the campaign. They got the most resources. Pretty much got all the territory, all that type of stuff. So, you know, as far as our narrative, we kind of made it so that they're just really infiltrating, and, you know, now they can kind of control factories and stuff like that. So it really kind of adds to what Genestealer cults pretty much would do. So, but it was fun. I think a lot of people had fun, and it was a good little experience. So thank you, and I appreciate you listening.